Okay, we're going middle names now? Okay, so since you got an A in your middle name, who was that?
Sorry, Parker and all of it.
Did you get your stuff?
Yeah, I love my calculator.
All right, well, take all your stuff too. Those are them. All right, here's what we're gonna do, and just to kind of, so that we're all on the same page, we're gonna go through and do the odds first. Okay, so we can get through everything. This will be turned in as an assignment. Okay, so all you gotta do right now is follow along. Anything left over though, you might need to cover. We might get through most of it, if not all of it. So we're gonna do the odds together so that we hit all the different types. Kind of comes there. There is not a back, but this needs to be done on a separate sheet. You need to number each problem. It needs to be so I can find it. So go ahead for number one, put down square root of 98. Yeah. And so make sure you're reading directions. All you have to do is simplify. You don't need to put any answers on the other sheet. I want everything on your own work. Factor tree that. Okay. So we got a factor tree. That's what simplify means. We got to be able to do that to all the problems. It gives me the willies.
What?
Yes.
I hate that.
All right.
Oh.
What are you doing?
49.
Factor tree.
I don't know.
Okay. No, wait a minute. Is that two?
29.
7, okay, so that's good, right there.
What number do you do? I don't know.
Yes.
I just
You
can't.
got another sheet of paper?
Keep going up.
Find it and.
What?
You need it, you have a sheet of paper you need?
I'm just gonna do 2.
Tommy.
It's 49.
I don't think mine's right.
What you got?
7 and 2.
Why don't you think it's right?
I don't know.
It's right.
Oh.
Shot?
Yeah.
All right, we'll take that next door and holler for Amanda. She's right over there. Yep. Thank you. Tommy, you're definitely right. What did you multiply together to get 98?
49 and 2 and then 7 and 7.
49 and 2, 7 and 7. You got one pair of sevens, so it is 7 square root of 2. Now, just kind of a double check, if you got time, remember we've shown you this before, square root of 98. Okay, that'll give you a decimal. If it gives you a decimal, then you know that it's not, your answer can't be just a constant. And so to test it, now it doesn't guarantee it's the simplest form, but if you get the same decimal, it's like, you can be pretty confident for that one. So that's 7 radical 2, okay, for that one. Now, like I said, I want to bounce around a little bit so we hit all different types. Let's go to number 3. Write that one down. And just don't worry about saving room or anything like that. Just keep going in order. And keep up, so
Can we go ahead? If
if you think you're doing, make sure you go with the odds though. Stick with the odds. You think you're good, yeah, that's fine. That's fine, and then just kind of pop back in and check your answers when we go over it. Odds, number 3.
Yeah, I heard you say that after I said it now.
All of you. All right, so you get that. All right, so factor tree. All right, so 25, if you take a look, do we know the square root of 25? That's 5. So that's gonna go on the outside, and if you need to,
Would it be 5A squared? I don't know.
keep going, 5a squared, then what?
B.
Okay, that's,
A. Radical A.
that would be correct. That would be correct. Because 25 is just 5 times 5. 25 is just 5 times 5. So when you have a pair and you got nothing left over, that means you got no numbers on the inside. The shortcut for these is you just cut the exponent in half. 6 cut in half is 3. 5 cut in half is 2, but you have 1 left over. So it's just going to be A. And you can write them all out in circle pairs if need be, but not necessary. All right, so that's 3. 5a squared b cubed square root of A. Okay. Next one would be what, number 5?
Yeah.
These, and I've said this before, these are probably the fractions, the ones that are missed the most. Once you, I don't know, I don't wanna say hardest. I think once you know, they're not that bad, but you just kind of forget.
Is it kind of like the ones on the homework?
Well, a little bit. You cannot have a fraction under the radical or a radical under the in the denominator. But anybody know what we do here?
Factor tree and both.
Not just yet, mate. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Isn't 81 already what is it called?
Perfect square.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's 9.
It is not.
Like
you-
but like before you do that, you put them both in a square root.
Okay, that's it. You check to see if they have anything in common. Nothing goes into both of those. So at this point, what Christiana says, I'm going to do this. Put them both in a square root. And she noticed the square root of 81 is a nice number. It's 9. So here, you got square root of 250 over 9. So now you're partially right. We're pretty close, but there's one more thing we got to do.
Simplify it.
Simplify the 250. Okay,
So after that one.
so then you're doing a factor tree. Yep. Okay, now I think, no, don't prove me wrong here, but I think this can be a really good test for a lot of you. And it is worth 80 points.
Oh, God.
So this is an opportunity to do good. Joe, you've been doing, getting all these right, just remember that. So now it's square root of 250. 250 is 2 times 125.
I thought it was
Well, it doesn't have to be the same as what I got. And then I got 5 times what, 25? And then 5 times 5. So how many 5s do we get? 3. So I take a pair, so I take one out, and then what's left on the inside?
There's 4 5s for these.
One of those, it should be a 2. Because you did what? What'd you do, 5 times 50?
Oh, yeah.
That should be 2 then, right?
There you
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, 1 7, is that, like I know I have to.
Alright, if you're gonna work ahead, you just have to wait till I get there. Okay?
Okay.
So that, and what you gotta do is simplify first. And I'll show you that.
Okay.
For 7,
Over 9. Wait, is it 5 radical 10 over 9?
yes. 5 radical 10 over 9. Alright, 7. Hands down, number 1 missed problem. Christian just proved it.
Well, my question was, I was gonna ask, does the y, like when we simplify the y, it goes down to y to the 4th?
Mhm.
Does that go the outside, right? It goes the outside of the radical?
Not yet.
Well, when it's all
It's gonna be a y
simplified,
squared on the outside.
that's what I had.
Okay, now, here's the biggest thing though. Can these be simplified? Do they, like, reduced as a fraction? Does something go into 27 and 12? Yeah, what?
3.
3. So we want to reduce this to 9 over 4, because 3 goes into 27 9 times, 3 goes into 12 4 times. What does y squared over y to the 6th become?
Why did 4?
Y to the 4th, where? Top or bottom?
Bottom.
Bottom, because there's more y's on the bottom, so it's y to the 4th. So now you split it up. Square root of the top, square root of 9 over square root of 4, y to the 4th. Okay.
Why can't we just put it all back in the big square root? Right.
Because one of our rules we went over before is you are not allowed to have a fraction underneath the radical. Like, that's not an okay answer.
So why is that one?
Which one?
Why is the question like that then?
Because they're giving you that question so that you can simplify it so that it doesn't have a fraction in the radical. They're gonna give it like that, and then you gotta fix it. All right, because what's the square root of 9? That's what? 3, and what's the square root of 4y to the 4th?
2y squared.
Y squared.
2y squared, yep. So you got 3 over 2y squared. Agree, Julie? All right.
Wait, so,
What did you have, Christian?
I I had 3 radical 3 over 2y squared radical 3, but I
Okay.
didn't know I had to like take out those radicals.
Hold on.
Because I didn't simplify it.
No, I know. So this is what happened. When you get this case here, and this is okay, you get to this point, you gotta know when you got the exact same thing on top and the exact same thing on bottom, those will cancel out. And so then you would make this 3 over 2y squared. Okay?
It's not a big mistake.
So we get points marked off if we didn't write that. Like,
Yeah, I'd take off points for having radical 3 and radical 3 there.
That's probably the one.
All right, number 9. Now I'm just gonna talk about number 8, even though don't even write it down because just to make sure we know, we'll go back and do it. But number 8, don't miss this one. 5 square root of 2 minus 8 square root of 2. Okay, if it's the same radical, remember what you do, you take the numbers in front and you either add or subtract them. So you would do 5 minus 8, which is negative 3, right? And don't change the radicals, negative 3 radical 2. Problem with number 9 is they're not the same radical. You cannot make that, like, you cannot add 18 and 50.
Because you have to simplify.
Got to simplify first. Now, simplify. I'll do 4 square root of 18, then you do 3 square root of 50 just for the practice. But remember, there's a number in front of that radical 18. And so when I do a factor tree on 18,
what's the number?
Don't you multiply them together?
say that again.
Don't you multiply them together?
Yes, so once I get to here, since I got that 3 comes out, it multiplies by the 4, and what should it give me?
12, radical 2.
12 radical 2. All right, see what you get for 3 radical 50.
15 radical 2.
I didn't hear it, so that's good. Yeah, what do we do?
Okay, so the 5 comes out, multiplies by the 3. So
Yeah. Okay, so it's even the,
Well, square root of 2.
you add those two. No, you don't add those two. Just, so, how much is this?
Yeah,
So those are the
now
same.
think about that.
You just add those two and then.
Think about that.
Oh, I know.
You just
Huh?
add to the book.
Okay, what's 52? You can do that factor term.
Do you not know how to do it?
Actually, don't know. Me too.
Do you not know how to do it?
Oh, I don't know what it's
Okay,
for.
yeah, very well.
I think,
What is it? So this comes out, 5 comes out, multiplies by the 3, what's what? Yep, and what's left on the other side?
Why are you staring at me?
Because she wants to tell you.
Just that one, yep. Now, think about that one, I'll get to that section. All right, so you got 50, 3 square root of 50. 50 is 25 times 2. 5 times 5. Pair of 5s comes out, multiplies the 3. That gives you plus 15, and then you're left with the 2 on the inside. Well, can we actually add these together now?
Yeah.
Grant, what's it give us?
27 square root of 2.
27 square root of 2. So it gives us that. That should be the final answer. So when you have a plus, you got to see if you can get them to the same radical. If you can't get them the same radical, you're done. Jan, did you get that?
What?
Did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. All right, so that's 9. 10, we'll come back to that one. All right, 11. You don't need to write the whole thing out. Here's what you need to write out, though. It says find the perimeter, which means you're adding together the length. So you're going to take 9 plus 2 square root of 5 plus square root of 20. So do write that out. I think I can answer that. Yes. Very good. Very good.
We add the 9 and the 2.
Okay, you cannot add the 9 and the 2 because the 2 is with the square root of 5. The only time you can add those together if that had a square root of 5 with it. What you right now, as you look at it, you can't add anything together. But you got to try to simplify the square root of 20. factor tree?
It'd be 4 times 5,
4 times 5.
and then 2 times 2.
So what does that become, Joe?
You multiply the 2 by 20.
No, because the 20 is on the inside.
Would it be 10 radical 20? Oh wait, 2 radical 20.
2.
No clue.
Well, you just did problems like this and had no issues.
Oh, I didn't know you had to change the 20.
We changed the 20 to the factor tree, and then the 2 comes out. All right, now, Christiana, do you know what to add here?
You add the 2 radical 5, both of them together,
And okay, and what's that give me?
4 radical 5.
Good. And so you're gonna have 9 plus 4 square root of 5. And then you got, that's it. Can't do anything. Do not add 9 and 4 together to get 13. Can't do this. Just leave it as 9 plus 4 radical 5. Okay, for that. So that's 11.
Yeah, got it.
All right, Joe, you good?
Yeah.
Austin, you good back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, 13. Now, again, directions are going to tell you, like 12, it says multiply. 13, it says multiply. And this is where we do outsides times outsides, insides times inside. Okay. So, Jordan, you know what the first step would be?
Do we have to simplify them? Do we multiply them?
I would multiply. You could. And sometimes that makes it easier. But let's go ahead, because I think most people are going to multiply them together.
I know it's gonna, at the end, it's gonna be y
180.
180, and then you got a y times y, so you're going to get
squared.
180 y squared. All right, so step 1 is correct. Now you always have to now test it to see whether you can simplify. Which means you got to do the factor tree on 180. Okay.
Is this?
Hold on a second.
So y is like embedded in everything.
There you go.
Okay.
Crush it.
Okay, 180.
It's got to be middle like 2 because it's or 10.
What's the answer?
Okay, put your phone on.
Is
What do you got?
6 y radical 5.
Yep, don't you get? Oh, yeah, you know, 180. Yep, you got it. All right, Jaylee, what do you got for your factor trick? 90 and 2. Okay. 30 and 3. 15 and 2. 5 and 3. All right, so that's correct. So I'm going to listen. That sometimes it wouldn't be a bad thing to like take this step. I got 2 2s. I got 2 3s, right? I got a 5, and then I got y squared. Well, I got a pair of 2s, right? And a pair of 3s. So a 2 goes out and a 3 goes out, multiplies together, you get 6. And you're left, now what about y squared? Square root of y squared is y. And I'm left with the square root of 5. Okay, left with that.
That was easy.
All right, 15. Okay, multiply square root of 6 minus 5 quantity squared. Yes. This is where you got to FOIL. This is where you got to FOIL because it says squared. So you got to write this as square root of 6 minus 5 times square root of 6 minus 5.
I don't know how to do it.
All right, you got it written down?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you take the first one right here, and it has to multiply by both of the other ones.
Does it matter which order you do it in?
Technically, no, but it's easier to keep it in order if you just go times the first one, then the second one. What's square root of 6 times square root of 6? Square root of 36, what's the square root of 36? 6. So you should be able to go jump right to that and just put a 6 there. Just doesn't need to be a 36. What's the square root of 6 times negative 5? Now, this is where I still see some mistakes. Minus 5 radical 6 because you can't actually multiply and get 30 because the 5 is not underneath the radical. It's outside the radical. 6 is underneath. And so now, Joe, we've multiplied the square root of 6 by both of them, right?
Yeah.
Now you go to the next one, which is at negative 5, and it's got to multiply both of them.
Would it be negative 5 to radical 6?
Okay, and then what else?
And then negative 25.
Plus 25. Now typically when you FOIL, things will add together further. And you got the 6 in the front, you got the 25 in the back, which is 31. And then negative 5 square root of 6 minus 5 square root of 6 is negative 10 square root of 6. This is where you do minus 5 gives you negative 10. And then you got square root of 6.
Is that the answer?
That's the answer. Because you can't do anything else. Do not take 31 minus 10 because the 31 is just a number. The 10 has the radical 6. Okay?
So why'd we add 6 and 25?
Because we can. Because we want to make it as simple as possible. 6 plus 25 gives me the 31. We want to reduce it down as far as we can.
But we had to move it over.
So you do have to do that. All right, write down 17. Okay, now, do you know what to do? Just look at it.
Yeah.
What do we do? What would that mean?
You times radical 6 on the top and bottom.
Okay, this is where we talk about rationalize the denominator. That's probably the easiest way is we multiply both the top and bottom way, whatever the denominator is. We cannot have a radical in the denominator. I'll tell you what you get on the bottom. You should just get a 6. Square root of 6 times square root of 6. It is square root of 36, but what's square root of 36? 6. All right, what do we get on top?
I don't know.
Okay, what actually should you multiply together? Just tell me what you actually should multiply together, Joe.
4 and 6.
Not the 4, because is the 4, 10 and 6, because those are both underneath the radical. You can only multiply ones that are underneath the radical. The 4 is going to have to stay there.
So it'd be 4.
Now, again, we're not done because what do we got to do to 60?
Yes.
Simplify it. Now, to save a little bit of time, because you guys are getting good at this, let me do that if you haven't done it yet. It's 6 times 10. It's 2 times 5. It's 2 times 3. It'll be 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. 2 square root of 15. But there's already a 4 out there, right? So multiply the 2 and the 4.
I am equal.
Yeah, we know. All right. You got about 90% of it right. If you got to there, I'd be pretty happy with you. But to get it all right, there's one more little step you got to do.
Do the 8 and 6.
8 and 6 are both even numbers. They're both divisible by 2. So we would cancel those and make it 4 square root of 15 over 3.
Why?
What's that?
Why?
Because,
Oh, I get it, never mind.
okay.
Why'd you ask?
Because
I didn't get it.
then she got it. What's that?
They both can divide
That
by
works, plus 5.
Yeah, so if you have,
So that's just those constants there at the end. All right. Cool. Can I go to 19?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, 19. Solve the equation.
I'm going to simplify that.
Check your answer. If you got a radical,
Alright, it's the same thing.
Wait, you subtract 5 from the side.
okay? No. Now here's where I did solve. This is where a lot of people make a mistake. You cannot move anything underneath the radical until we get rid of the radical.
What are the parentheses squared?
This is where we square both sides first to get rid of the radical. So you cannot move anything underneath the radical until we get rid of the radical. So this is how we get rid of the radical. You square both sides. When you do that, that basically it gets rid of the radical, leaves you 4x plus 5, but then 7 squared is 49. Now you can move the 5. You cannot do it till then. You cannot do it till then.
And then you minus,
Minus 5, minus 5.
so it would be 4x plus
45 by 4.
Stop running so fast.
I didn't see the 49.
X equals 11.
So I got 11.
You went way too fast.
All right, I'm sorry. I'll slow down.
I could have done this over there. I would have survived.
Christian, you have an A.
Survive.
What?
You have an A or
I
above.
wasn't talking to you, though. Are you sure I should do that?
Then no, you can't be over there.
All right, here, I'm just gonna talk about 20 for a second, and then we're gonna move backwards. 20, you would square both sides and then solve. Okay? Let's go backwards, and just right where you're at on your paper, start with 18.
Why not 20?
Because I just want to get to some of the other ones. You square both sides on 20. I think that one's right. Go ahead and copy that. 18.
I'm an ace this test. I say that about every single one.
Oh my goodness.
See, you gotta have like, you gotta say like,
I know I'm never gonna ace it. That's-
there you go. You know, you gotta
I just
try.
try enough.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty confident.
Me too.
I'm
Ace, George.
Okay, you get rid of the radical?
Yeah.
Square both sides.
What?
You're done.
So now, what does that give me on that left-hand side? It just gives me 3x equals 81. Divide by 3. 27. Okay, hop back up to what number? 16. I'm skipping 20.
Oh.
Okay. You get done?
Yeah, I finished a while, yeah.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'm that fast, I'm right back in too.
So that's why Josh can be.
Josh is not.
All right, 16. So like we're hitting. You said it's right there?
No, it's already done.
Oh, no, that was the one above it.
What? No. I just went around it.
Oh, okay. What do we gotta do here? What do we have to do to finish this problem? We gotta get rid of the radical in the denominator. This is where we multiply the top and bottom by square root of 3. Okay, now that gives us square root of 15. And what is square root of 3 times square root of 3? 3. So that's the only thing you gotta do on that one. Yeah, that's the only thing you gotta do on that one. Amanda, we go back and bring me those answer keys?
Yeah.
Please, thank you. So that was 16. 14. All right, think about this one. Think if you can do it on your own.
When we get 4 radical 35 plus 7.
Christian, man, you're on a comeback trail. When you distribute, that 4 is on the outside, so you cannot multiply it times a 7. So you multiply 7 times 5 is 4 radical 35. Square root of 7 times square root of 7 is square root of 49, but I'm hoping that you recognize that's just 7. 35 does not simplify anymore, so I'm just going to leave that. All right, now those of you who are working with me, keep working backwards to 12 to 10 on Canvas. On Canvas, if you go to the end of the class notes, I have the answer key written out. so that you can check your work.
Where is it?
Canvas,
Where?
under today's date.
Canvas.
Click on that link. It's always that way. I'll
Rest
show
for
you.
homework?
Yeah, rest. The normal assignment for tomorrow, we have that test, 80 points. Let's do well on it.